The House adjourned early for its 6-week summer recess, and dozens of religious, humanitarian, and charitable organizations are calling on Israel to allow more desperately needed food and medical aid into Gaza. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Members of the Republican-led House are heading home for their August recess today. This comes after a fight over the potential release of new Jeffrey Epstein documents. This fight paralyzed work on the House floor this week. NPR's Claudia Grisales reports the dispute is part of the GOP's divide linked to accusations of an alleged cover-up in the Epstein case.
In an effort to shut down the Jeffrey Epstein fight in his chamber for now, House Speaker Mike Johnson sent lawmakers home early for a nearly 6-week recess. At the other side of the Capitol, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has opened the door for his committees to investigate the case of the late sex offender.
If we have committee chairs who think it makes sense, then I'll leave that to their discretion.
Some House Republicans are betting the controversy will heat up for lawmakers over an annual August recess, forcing Congress to revisit the issue when they return in September. Claudia Grisales, NPR News.
The Justice Department says it's looking into interviewing the late Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now imprisoned herself. Officials in Massachusetts are sounding the alarm after federal immigration agents detained an Afghan immigrant who is legally allowed to be in the United States. He is identified only as Zia S. From member station WBUR, Jesus Marrero Suarez reports Zia is a former Afghan interpreter for the U.S. military.
Immigration officials gave Zia and his family the green light to come to the U.S. last year. But after a routine immigration appointment on July 16th, ICE agents arrested Zia. On Tuesday, lawmakers called Zia's detention a betrayal. Here's Massachusetts Congressman Bill Keating.
This is about our veterans. If their word means nothing, when they're in the battlefield risking their lives, then what does that mean for our word going forward?
The Department of Homeland Security says Zia is under investigation for a, quote, serious criminal allegation. It declined to elaborate. For NPR News, I'm Jesus Marrero Suarez in Boston.
More than 100 religious, humanitarian, and charitable organizations are calling for Israel to open up the borders to Gaza. They want desperately needed food and medical aid to be delivered immediately. NPR's Emily Fang reports.
Muslim, Jewish, and Christian religious organizations are among those who have signed an open letter calling for a ceasefire to Israel's war in Gaza and for all border crossings to Gaza to open. The letter says aid workers in Gaza are debilitated by hunger. It also criticized an Israeli and U.S.-backed food distribution program that has largely replaced a United Nations system as flawed and a, quote, smokescreen for inaction. The letter comes amid growing global pressure on Israel. This week, the human rights organization Amnesty International described what it called, quote, starvation as a method of warfare in Gaza. Emily Fang, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Yesterday, the Ukrainian parliament voted in favor of a bill limiting the independence of anti-corruption agencies. NPR's Hanna Palamarenko reports from Kyiv. Thousands turned out in the capital and other Ukrainian cities to protest, demanding Ukraine's president veto the law.
People chanted, "Veto the law," as they gathered in the square closest to the government quarter in Kyiv. 29-year-old Polina Timchenko is among the protesters.
It's a betrayal of everyone who is on the front line, for everyone who is fighting for our liberty, for everyone who is fighting for Ukraine not being Russia.
Despite the protests, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signed the law. He later had the meeting with the heads of law enforcement and anti-corruption agencies to start work on a common action plan. The Ukrainian parliament says it will collect votes for a petition to the Constitutional Court to repeal the law. Hanna Palamarenko, NPR News, Kyiv.
President Trump says he and his negotiators have reached trade agreements with 3 Asian countries. One of the deals includes Japan. Trump celebrated that agreement yesterday with other Republicans at the White House.
But I just signed the largest trade deal in history, I think maybe the largest deal in history, with Japan. And that was done with Japan. They had their top people here, and we worked on it long and hard, and it's a great deal for everybody.
The president reached another trade deal with the Philippines and with Indonesia. Columbia University has announced new punishments for students who took over part of a campus library last spring. They were part of a pro-Palestinian protest. More than 70 students have been placed on probation, suspended, or expelled. From member station WNYC, Jessica Gould reports.
The protest took place during the study period for finals and lasted several hours until it was broken up by police. It was one of the largest protests on campus since the weeks-long encampment a year before. Columbia officials say they're working to restore $1 billion in funding that the Trump administration withheld last winter, and the university's tightening protest rules and discipline as part of that. President Trump says Columbia has failed to address anti-Semitism on campus, though many Columbia students and faculty call that a pretext for controlling higher education. The university argues it's trying to maintain a campus that respects all students. For NPR News, I'm Jessica Gould in New York City.
Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company is trying to raise billions of dollars. NPR's Bobby Allen reports the company is struggling with enormous energy costs.
AI chatbots require an immense amount of power to operate. The massive data collection, the water-guzzling data centers. Most tech firms like OpenAI partner with big cloud computing companies to absorb some of the cost. But Musk is building and maintaining his own AI infrastructure. One recent estimate first reported by the Wall Street Journal found that xAI is burning $13 billion a year just to stay afloat. Musk is now trying to raise billions of dollars from investors as the AI race continues to heat up. He's also grappling with reputational issues following his Grok chatbot launching into anti-Semitic tirades. Musk said recently he's developing a kid-friendly version called Baby Grok. Bobby Allen, NPR News.
The man convicted of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022 will be sentenced today. Brian Kohberger is expected to receive 4 life prison terms without the chance for parole. He admitted to the slayings, and prosecutors dropped the possibility of the death penalty in exchange. Kohberger has never shared the motive for the killings. Los Angeles officials have charged the driver of a car who was accused of plowing into a crowd of pedestrians last weekend. Fernando Ramirez faces dozens of counts of attempted murder. Prosecutors charge he intentionally drove into the crowd outside an L.A. area nightclub. He was pulled from his car and beaten, then shot by another person. Authorities are still looking for that suspect. This is NPR.